The Philosophy of Human Survival, a Scientific Life Reflection, number 1648, May 19, 2026, Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation, category Life Reflection. Preface: the three phases of my academic evolution. Phase 1, the Quantitative Foundation. My early work focused strictly on rigorous medical data, statistical probabilities, and clinical outcomes. This phase was necessary for mastering the precise mechanics of disease progression and human biology. Working with concrete metrics allowed me to understand the hard realities of healthcare at a granular level. Phase 2, the transition to the human element. As the volume of my quantitative analysis gradually expanded, the data began to reveal broader patterns. I transitioned from examining isolated statistical points to recognizing the consistent human experiences hidden behind those numbers. The focus gradually shifted from purely analyzing the mechanics of sickness toward understanding its direct impact on human life. Phase 3, integration and philosophical reflection. After establishing a deep understanding of empirical data, my current work naturally evolved toward a more abstract and self-reflective level. I now integrate that clinical and quantitative foundation into broader reflections regarding the universal realities of birth, aging, sickness, and final death. The quantitative data remains the scientific baseline that allows to analyze these existential dimensions of medicine with greater clarity. Phase 3, integration and philosophical reflection. After establishing a deep understanding of empirical data, my current work naturally evolved toward a more abstract and self-reflective level. I now integrate that clinical and quantitative foundation into broader reflections regarding the universal realities of birth, aging, sickness, and final death. The quantitative data remains the scientific baseline that allows to analyze these existential dimensions of medicine with greater clarity. Main content. This writing represents one of my most fundamental philosophical and autobiographical writings because it successfully combines 5 different layers together without sounding artificial. 1. Ancient human philosophy. 2. Modern biomedical systems thinking. 3. Personal survival experience. 4. Scientific discipline. 5. Spiritual humility. Most people can only think and write within one of these dimensions. My journey naturally connects all 5 because they genuinely emerged from my own life experience, beginning after my first 2 heart attacks in 1994 in Silicon Valley, the precise moment I decided to leave corporate America and start my first semiconductor chip AI-based design automation software company. What makes this reflection unique is that it does not sound like ideology, preaching, or self-promotion. Instead, it reflects the true and honest thinking of a scientist, an engineer, and a patient who has walked extremely close to major disability or final death 9 different times between 1994 and 2025. I am trying to seamlessly bridge these dimensions because the philosopher, the systems engineer, and the patient are the exact same person. When I define sickness as the manifestation of internal imbalance and accumulated damage, and death as the final system failure, I am not just using metaphors, I am translating ancient truths into the language of modern engineering and human biology. To me, this connection feels entirely organic. In Buddhism, there are 4 fundamental sufferings or unavoidable realities of human existence: 1. Birth. 2. Aging. 3. Sickness. 4. Final death. This concept originated from the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, approximately 2,500 years ago in India. It later spread into ancient China. According to the story, Prince Siddhartha first awakened to the true reality of human life after seeing an old person, a sick person, a dead person, and later, a spiritual seeker. These observations led him to realize that all human beings inevitably face birth, aging, illness, and death, regardless of wealth, power, or social status. My interpretation of this ancient philosophy is somewhat different because I connect it with modern biomedical systems, health studies at birth, aging research, chronic mortality diseases, and survival science. Although my research writings thus far do not directly focus on birth itself, indirectly they are still connected to it. A newborn baby does not appear independently from the biomedical system. The baby comes from the mother, and the mother herself is already part of the same human cycle involving health, aging, sickness, survival, and eventual death. Therefore, birth cannot truly be isolated from the other stages of human existence. The health condition of the mother affects the baby directly, just as the father's genetic conditions, family environment, nutrition, stress, hardship, and long-term biomedical conditions also influence the next generation. In that sense, men, women, older people, younger people, and newborn babies are all connected within the same continuous human biomedical system. Birth, aging, sickness, and death are not isolated events affecting only certain people. They are continuously embedded within the entire life cycle from the very beginning of human existence. This cycle carries both profound philosophical depth and a systems engineering way of looking at humanity, not as isolated stages, but as one continuous, psychologically and pathophysiologically interconnected process. Human life begins with these four unavoidable realities: birth, aging, sickness, and final death. While my research thus far has never focused directly on birth itself, during the past 17 years, almost all of my work has been directly connected to the other three realities, except babies. Through the lens of science, aging gradually weakens the biomedical system. Sickness represents the manifestation of internal imbalance and accumulated damage. Death represents the final system failure when the human body can no longer maintain stability and survival. In many ways, my lifelong research journey has been an attempt to better understand these three interconnected realities through mathematics, physics, engineering, medicine, and continuous self-observation. To me, this is not merely scientific research, it is an intensely personal journey involving survival, self-awareness, and a deeper understanding of human life itself. In addition, it reflects the true and honest thinking of a mathematician, scientist, engineer, and a patient who has walked extremely close to materializability or final death 9 different times. During these 17 years, I dedicated myself to extremely intensive medical research work, approximately 15 hours per day, continuously 365 days per year. In total, I have spent nearly 82,000 hours studying medicine and biomedical systems, which exceeds approximately 4 times the educational preparation of a typical medical doctor. The only real reward from this long journey is simple: I saved my own life, and my accumulated knowledge may also benefit other patients. The absolute simplicity of that reality is where its strength lies. Looking back between 1994 and 2004, I suffered 5 heart attacks. In 2010, I was diagnosed with severe chronic conditions, including kidney failure, neuropathy that could lead to amputation, and retinopathy that could eventually lead to blindness. However, from 2010 until now, over the past 17 years, my kidney function and heart condition have remained within normal ranges. I have not experienced recurrent major mortality diseases. This is direct evidence that I successfully reversed much of my deteriorating health condition through lifestyle control, biomedical research, self-discipline, and continuous observation, not through prescribed miracle medications. Nevertheless, my hemorrhagic stroke 11 months ago also proved another harsh reality. Living near the edge of the cliff for many years means that a single misstep can still lead to catastrophic consequences. At that moment, I stood extremely close to death itself. My survival probability may have been as low as 20%, yet I survived. No doctor, no hospital, and no magical surgery truly saved my life. In that sense, I was fortunate. God showed mercy to me. That is why I have always kept a true Christian spirit inside of me, even though I do not attend church every Sunday morning. I keep this firm belief quietly inside myself rather than expressing it aggressively, holding on to the belief that kindness should remain in our mind and heart, not merely spoken through our mouth. This means that for the past 17 years, I have been continuously walking along the edge of the cliff, but the most important fact is that I survived. The knowledge I accumulated during these 17 years gradually built my self-awareness regarding health, safety, survival, longevity, and the true value of every human life. Overall, this simple reflection no longer reads like a traditional medical paper. Instead, it stands as a scientific life reflection written by someone who has spent decades crossing mathematics, physics, engineering, psychology, medicine, success, failure, suffering, survival, and continuous self-observation. To me, this is the clearest proof of the ultimate power of knowledge. It combines science with humility, instead of placing them in opposition, bringing the journey to its ultimate philosophical closure. Knowledge is the ultimate power, and God is our ultimate teacher. Epilogue: in this article, I am showing that all 5 layers describe the same human system when viewed from different scales. This framework succeeds in illustration because it remains structurally coherent across 5 fronts. One ancient philosophy provides the boundary conditions, 2 biomedical systems provide the Underlying mechanisms. 3. Personal survival provides the empirical data. 4. Scientific discipline provides the methodology. 5. Spiritual humility provides the stabilizing feedback loop that prevents ego-driven drift. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to the author, Gerald C.